Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin. So if you guys like the content, please subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and also check out the Telegram channel in the description below. Let's try to get to 70,000 subscribers. Let's go ahead and jump in. So when we see the price of Bitcoin bleed back down a little bit, as you know, a lot of people might assume that this is a significant correction, but as history in the short term has showed us, that is not necessarily the case, right? It's not necessarily the case. We've had several dips to this level just over the last week or so. We don't typically pull up 4-hour charts, not on this channel. We look more at longer time frames, try to understand what's going on over the macro scale. But just to highlight this general trend that we've had over the last few weeks, or over the last week, in fact, this was something that this was a chart we showed on the live stream a few days ago, and it was during that recent pump that we had, and just saying, you know what, we've come back to this level for the third time on this trend here. Maybe we come back down to the bottom, and here we are, right? Here we are, right back at the bottom. It's pretty much business as usual at this point. Now, currently, the price is around 18.6. And we've said before that we know that we are very much overextended in terms of percentage above the 20-week moving average. It's just a simple fact, right? There's not really a way we can say, okay, that we're not overextended. We know we are. We know we are overextended. We've seen this. We saw this last market cycle, right? Anytime we got very overextended above the 20-week moving average, we ultimately retraced to the 20-week moving average, even in the bull market. Even in the bull market, we had these moves back down. Okay. Now, there's several weeks in here where you have shorter, smaller corrections, dips, if you will, that are not actually the major correction back down to the 20-week. I mean, this one right here was around 40%. If we were to drop to the 20-week now, it would correspond to, let's take a measured move from where we currently are at 18.6, it would correspond to a 28% drop. Now, if we were to drop 28%, rest assured, the rest of the market would dump harder. Most likely, most other cryptocurrencies would dump harder than Bitcoin. And this is the whole point, again, of not being overexposed in the market. And if you do have a cryptocurrency portfolio, then what I do is to make sure that at all times, a majority of that portfolio is in Bitcoin. Because by having it in Bitcoin, you protect yourself from dumps. You also protect yourself when Bitcoin pumps, right? I mean, if you were to say have no Bitcoin, and you see a move like this happen, you want that exposure, right? You want that exposure. If you see something like this happen and you had to be in crypto, you would want to be in Bitcoin for the most part, right? Of course, there's pet projects out there that everyone has that might outperform Bitcoin on any given day, but you would want to be in Bitcoin. And if Bitcoin were to all of a sudden turn around and rally past this point, you would still want to be in Bitcoin. And this is why I say it has been, it is, and it always will be the majority of my portfolio, Bitcoin, because this is the one we know is actually likely to do well over the next several years. Now, there's other coins that we think will do well, and I think there's a high probability of them doing well. Like coins like Ethereum, I think have a great chance of doing well over the next few years. But if you start getting too far down the rankings, if in 10 years let's say in 5 years you can just magically see that the market capitalization of the entire cryptocurrency asset class is, say, 5 trillion. Well, if that's the case, then we can basically know that Bitcoin did well. However, any other project, for the most part, we could speculate that there could have been reasons why it did not do well. And so this is why we say Bitcoin is primarily where you want to be, right? That's just the way it is, because there's so many scenarios where Bitcoin outperforms the rest of the market. And so we're kind of sitting at a point where it appears like we're not about to press past 20K in the short term. And when I say short term, I mean, probably not in the next few days, right? I mean, it could happen. Again, I can't predict short-term moves any better than the next guy. But it seems like there's the two main scenarios that could play out here are either a sideways movement, or back down to the 20. Okay, these would be the main areas that I could see us doing. And note that if you look at the move that we had at 10K, we talked about some of the similarities between 10K and 20K, the moves to those levels. And if you go all the way over and take that bar pattern, you can see how similar they are. And note that we had 7 green candles in a row, right? 7 green again, followed by a red, followed by a green, followed by another red. So right now we're doing exactly what we did over here, right? 7 greens in a row, then this red candle, a green one, and then a red one, and then another green one. Now, if we were to draw a line, you can see here we drew it at the bottom of this red candle. If we were to draw a line at the bottom of that red candle and go over and see if we were to continue to play out this pattern, where would it put us? Where could we go in the short term? Well, I mean, it could signify a move back down to the low 18,000s, right? Around 18,001, 18,002. And this would just be if we just continue to repeat the pattern that we've already seen, right? A rapid move up to the next level, a red candle to cool us down, another green, another red. Now, if this starts happening, right, we need to keep an eye on this, because if this starts happening, and I understand that while I'm making this video, a lot of people are bearish, right? You have the little panda bears coming out to reclaim their territory. So I understand a lot of people might be bearish when you see movements. I mean, right now we're back at 18.5, so it's dropped about $100 in the last 5 minutes or so. But when we see these types of moves, we still recognize that we could theoretically be range bound, right? There's still a chance that we're range bound here between 18 and 19.3K, 19.5K. There's still a chance that we're range bound, right? Now, if on the other hand we do come back down, it might mimic more so the move to 14K, right? So maybe what it'll look like is so the move to 14K like we had in July of 2019 over the move to 10K. And if this is the case, then what it means is that we're coming back down to the 20 week, right? And we know we're going to come back down to the 20 week at some point, right? We know this. This is something that is likely going to happen. And by likely, I mean it will happen, right? We know we're going to come back to the 20 week at some point. It's just a matter of when exactly it happens. And the 20 week right now is at 13.3, and the 21 week EMA is at 14K. So this would be where the bulls would want to come out and hold the line in the event of a dump. Okay, so going back to say 18.1 or 18.2 would be par for the course, right? This would just be going sideways. And in fact, we would expect that at the very least just to go sideways at this level. We would easily go back to 18.1, 18.2. It actually looks like we've actually dropped to 18.2 in the last few minutes. So here we are. I just noticed the price drop back down. So, if in fact we were to go sideways at this level for the next few weeks, right? Imagine a scenario where we go sideways for the next few weeks, where we come back down, we go back up, we come back down, we go back up. This would, of course, be what would propel altcoins to do well. And it's not a daily time thing, right? It's not a daily time frame. There's plenty of times in history where we have daily moves that take us, altcoins that'll take them up 10% against Bitcoin, right? This is not what we're concerned about, right? We're simply not concerned about that. We're concerned about key momentum shifts in the market, right? Key momentum shifts in the market and moves back down to just potential theoretical reaccumulation phases are not that concerning to us, because this is par for the course. And in fact, this is what we would want to see for, say, the rest of the market to do well, right? We would want Bitcoin to cool off for a while, and if it doesn't, then what does that mean? Well, if it doesn't cool off, then still Bitcoin is where you want to be. So ultimately speaking, I think we're going to have an extended market cycle. I think it's going to be a lot longer than the last one. We're probably going to have a lot of micro bubbles that maybe take us back down to the 20-week moving average. Some of those bubbles are going to move up and then go sideways. And if they go sideways like they did at 10K, where it's above the 20-week moving average moving sideways, then that's an area where altcoins could do well. If on the other hand we get short-term micro bubbles that just take us up and then immediately take us back down, this would not be good for altcoins in terms of their Bitcoin valuation. So again, there's so many scenarios where it makes sense to have Bitcoin in terms of your risk-adjusted returns over saying having like a huge stockpile of 100 different altcoins, because most of those altcoins will behave the same against Bitcoin in a lot of these different situations. Now again, what we're looking for is for Bitcoin to move sideways at a bullish level, and this recent move up to this level could provide us with that if in fact we see altcoins, or if we see Bitcoin go sideways. Now remember, over here, it's not like altcoins started surging right away. We know that Ethereum did not start surging until after a month or two at this level. Some other altcoins started surging in early June, late June, and July. So we had been moving sideways for several weeks before a lot of these coins started to move. For instance, we did some videos recently where some of the coins started to move 8 weeks or so after Bitcoin had been moving sideways at these levels. So if we were to see something like that happen, right? So this would be, if we just measure this out, we're currently at 3 weeks, 5 weeks at these levels. Another 5 weeks or so would put us in early January, if in fact we were to repeat this. Okay, so the two main things I think you want to look out for here are we moving sideways up here? And if we are, I would say that altcoins could probably do well over the next couple months. If, on the other hand, we move back down and test the 20-week, which we know we're going to test at some point, right? We know we're going to test it. If this happens and then we bounce off of it, then altcoins will still bleed against Bitcoin. Unfortunately, we always talk about the risks associated with holding altcoins. We expect higher returns from them, but on any given short-term bubble, if Bitcoin does not move sideways for a long enough period of time before it starts moving back down, then these altcoins are simply going to bleed against Bitcoin. So I would say just be cognizant of that, and if you understand that, it can help manage your what allocations you want in the altcoin market, because if you recognize there's so many different situations where the altcoins could bleed against Bitcoin, you don't want to have too much exposure. Not that it's financial advice. I would not want to have too much exposure to the altcoin market when Bitcoin is basically king of the show, right? And then that's what it is. So until we get some more clarity on exactly what Bitcoin's doing, then the risk on altcoins, as we know, remains high. But again, if the altcoins start to perform well over the next 2 months, you paid for that risk with the idea that, well, it could come crashing back down. So again, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you guys exactly what's going to happen. We did speculate on it coming back down to 18.1 or 18.2 when I started the stream. Sorry, it's not even a stream. It's a pre-recorded video. So we have come back down here, which looks pretty similar here, right? I mean, it's basically like a carbon copy, right? I just count them: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 greens. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 greens. The red one at the bottom of the range with a wick to the top, right? Same thing here. Green one going back to the top, same thing. Then a red one back down, same exact thing. Same exact thing that happened at 10K. So we'll see what happens, right? I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I can say that as always, I think that this cycle will extend longer than the previous ones. I think it should be a really good few years for Bitcoin, but we must also recognize there's going to be several phases of the market cycle where Bitcoin pumps, comes back down to the 20-week. There's going to be several phases where it pumps and then goes sideways, and then other coins have a chance to rally against Bitcoin. We'll see which one this gives us, right? Just buckle up. It's going to be a long journey. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. Also check out the Telegram channel in the description below. And remember, we also do have the sale going on for the premium list. If you want to lock in the lower rate, check out the description below for that. You get access to the weekly premium videos, the weekly reports, the Telegram alerts channel, the Telegram chat room, the risk dashboard, which is what I used to trade. I took profits at 18.9 for Bitcoin, corresponding to the 0.625 risk level at the time. We'll see. We'll see how well it works out in the long run. But I would be looking to reallocate that back to Bitcoin if it does come back down here, right? If Bitcoin does drop back down to these levels, it's a key time to reaccumulate. Because you can see during the last cycle, we had all these little micro bubbles, right? All these little micro bubbles that took us well above the 20-week moving average, right? And ultimately, every single one of them took us right back down where we held support. So, par for the course. It actually looks like this one is breaking below, right? So in the short term, this is breaking below. However, we've had wicks down here, but we've had wicks down here as well before. So not too different from what we've already seen. And when you look at the macro scale, again, we know Bitcoin is overextended. We know it is. And if it can go sideways, then I think the altcoin market's going to wake up. And note that, I think anything between, 18K, 19K, maybe even down to 17.5K for the next few weeks, couple months, that's sideways movement in my book. Okay, so make sure you guys subscribe. Let's get to 70,000 subscribers. We'll see you next time. Bye.